Hello and welcome to the Real Gary Tussey Podcast, where we talk about anything and everything that could ever amount to anything or everything to anybody and everybody who ever intends to amount to something. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome to this edition of Real Gary Tussey. We are so thrilled that you are with us today. We are approaching another, actually just like blasting into another week. This is Monday as we're recording this podcast, and those of you who have been picking up on the podcast now, you realize that we do our podcasting with a live Facebook audience. As a matter of fact, good morning, Elsie. Special place in my heart for the early riser. So we welcome everyone live via Facebook, and thank you for nominating me as the most interesting man on Facebook Live from the 5 to 6 o'clock hour each weekday morning. And thanks for being with us through the duration. As I do on every podcast, I am grateful, I am thankful to people who have helped to bring me to where I am and made me what I am today. These are people who work with me every day, or some in and out. I weave in and out. We weave in and out of each other's lives. So I want to, and these are not people who pay for sponsorship. Those are different. These are just, I will forever be thankful. I mean, without you having to pay me a dime, I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to say thank you to Mies Tile and Marble out of Louisville and Lexington. Clayton Meyer is my sales representative over there. And they're wonderful people. And if and when you need tile, not only buy it there, and you can just let our company, Tussey Homes or Tussey Construction, be your installer, but we do buy from Mies Tile, and they have a wonderful sales staff over there, actually in Lexington on Broadway, where Broadway just turns into Harrodsburg Road. And I'm very great group of people over there. So welcome to the Real Gary Tussey Podcast. I am your host, Gary Tussey. Welcome everyone who's listening live via Facebook. We're talking about this week, and for at least for probably the first 3 days of our live feed, and this will also make up our podcast here for a few episodes, leadership and multitasking. You know, it occurred to me over, I think it was Monday, and you know, things occur to me, and as I sure they do in your life, and I'm just driving down the road minding my own business. Now, I've showed you this before. I'm going to show you this again. This is my journal. It does not, anywhere I go, it goes with me. I encourage you to journal, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. But when I get ideas, I journal, and sometimes I speak them into my phone. Sometimes I text them into my phone, but mostly I journal, because then I've got them with me just at a turn of a page, and I can review them and think about things I've said, things I've done, blah, 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 and how they can contribute to your situation. So what occurred to me on Friday, because I am a leader, and I have known all my life. Good morning, Kimberly. Special place in my heart for the early riser. Thank you for joining us. But what occurred to me late last week is the leadership value. And great leaders were first of all great followers. And I've learned that. I learned that early in life. And you never stop becoming a great follower, because there's always stuff to learn. You never know it all. Although I have met people who really think they know it all. But so that's for another day. Leadership, it occurred to me that true leadership, real leadership, is not like the engine of a train. Real leadership is like a catapult. Because what does leadership do? It takes whatever's behind and moves it forward. However, why haven't we realized that, you know, what we really ought to be doing is we ought to be able to catapult those who will fall under tutelage of whatever you offer and however you contribute in your life. We should be able to catapult people into future, and then what'll happen, they're going to be able to even catapult you again. So true leadership, and this was so exciting to me and has helped me immensely to realize that, because if leadership is only like the engine of the train, or only like the cab of the semi tractor trailer, or like follow the leader, and that means there's a whole lot of people that's constantly staying behind, and that is not the design of divine providence by our Creator. We are created. Now, what inhibits us? What keeps us from being a catapult leader? Well, competition, FOMO. You don't know what FOMO is? Let me help you with FOMO. FOMO is fear of missing out. And that is a disease. That is, in my mind, that's a psychological disease. Not everything is your business. And that's why that brings us into our next subject. And that is success in multitasking. You have got to, in your life, surround your situation with people that you can trust. And this takes a while to build this. This takes a while to be able to do this. And you will find there will not be a lot of people in that world, but you got to do it. You have got to do it. That's why once trust is broken, it is a very nearly impossible thing to get back. But we have got to, don't let me ramble too much. Okay, Gary, I won't. All right. So there you go. You're watching a sausage be made this morning. And so we're going to continue on here. Leadership is like a catapult. Not like the engine of a train. Leadership is able to take what's behind and not only pull it forward, but catapult individuals forward to be able to be a success in whatever field they are pursuing. Now, let's talk about multitasking. And I realize most people that are up at this hour, they're movers and shakers. They're the ones who turn the thermostat up. They're the ones who flip the pancakes. They're the ones who sweep the front porch. They're the ones who make sure everybody else has a fresh towel, although you probably didn't. That's leadership, baby. That's you. That's the early riser who sets the tone for everybody else and does it in a compassionate way. However, what I would like to address, and I know we've done this before, and I want to do it again today, and that's the ability to multitask successfully. Somebody says, well, I'm not a multitasker. Well, if you're a human being, you are a multitasker. You may not be a successful multitasker, but you are a multitasker. You are created and designed to be a multitasker. You can do more than one thing at once. However, once you realize that, and once you put your brain and your ingenuity and your health and your strength in a position to do more than what you do right now. Because I like to say it like this: you can do more, be more, have more, contribute more than you do right now. But there are some key things that keep you sane through the process, and I want to talk about a few of those. Number one is set priority. There's only so much room in your brain, and not everything is a top-notch, number one, A1 priority in your life. You got to set priority. A way I like to do that is when I journal, there are days that I'll have certain tasks and I am overloaded with tasks. We own 4 businesses. One of the most important, well, I don't feel like one is in, it's like they're all my children, and not one is really more important than the other. From time to time, one makes more money than the other, and then from time to time, one is more liability than the other. But they come around and they are a reflection of what we do as the Tusseys and what we contribute to society and humanity. And I have to multitask, and you have to multitask with the things that you offer society and offer humanity. So to successfully multitask, you got to begin to set priorities. Not everything is an A1, A-list, number one priority. You've got, and what I do when I journal, I will literally list if it's a 1, 2, 3, if it's a 1 tier, that's a high priority. 2 is not so much. If it doesn't get attention today, it won't, and 3 is mostly for the future. And then after that, constantly realize you have to set priorities on what is important, and this will cause things to file in your brain so that you realize, And some things don't need to be in your brain at all. This is called FOMO, fear of missing out. Some things, just leave them alone. You can't contribute to it. You can't help it. You can't you can't be a help in that situation. And you got to trust, and you got to trust divine providence, and you got to trust people that are in your inner circle. They're going to pull it off. They're going to do what they've committed to do. Then I encourage you, I'm talking about the serious multitasker who is just absolutely fed up with being scattered and not being successful and not really seeing productivity and the things they're applying themselves to in life. Journal is good, and that's what I do, and that's what I encourage you to do, and that's what I do to make the construction work, to make the excavation work, and to make our Real Gary Tussey work every morning. We journal. We write it down. It will remind me, will jog my memory of things that we're doing and things we're setting our hand to and things that we are applying ourselves to that are important enough to repeat. And that's another thing. It's okay to repeat with your words what you were going to do. Have you ever noticed that usually before a task is accomplished, you say with your mouth, I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to mow the grass today. You say it. Well, if you don't say that again later, you may not mow the grass. And it's good to announce that to someone, whatever your several ability is going to be. It's okay to announce it, and you may get a little aggravated when they remind you that you said blah, 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 but it's good because iron sharpens iron. Don't get too upset. They're only repeating what you already said you were going to do and helps you to set priority. Now, this is one of my favorites, and this is the largest dropping of the ball when it comes to multitasking, and that is recruit help. There are certain tasks in your lane or in your life or in your sphere or in that universe that is the wonderful you that other people would actually enjoy being a part of it with you and would enjoy you handing them tasks. And we call that delegating task, and you need to do, we've had 6 children. We now have 8 grandchildren. So we know what it is to raise children. Me as a father, I cannot say that I know what it is to raise children successfully because I feel like a duh all the time when it comes to doing for and being for my kids, although my heart is always in everything. But anyway, recruiting help and delegating tasks is a major priority for your ability to multitask. And if you drop the ball on this, you are going to continue in perpetual insanity and not accomplish the things you need to do in your life. Now, there is the wonderful you that contributes to society and humanity that does what you do, and you will only do so much, and you will face limitations on a regular basis unless you're able to delegate. And I mentioned that we've had children. We have a lot of children, a lot of grandchildren, so you learn things early. My grandmother was the oldest of 9 children. I learned a lot about child rearing from her. One of the things that she taught me about child rearing, and we're out of time, we're going to take this up on the next podcast, was these children can take steps off of you. These children can pick their own toys up. These children can clean up after themselves. These children can take their own soiled diapers to the trash. We're going to talk more about that because that's the main place where people lose their ability to multitask successfully because they don't delegate. We're out of time on today's podcast. So I want to encourage you to live and let live. I want to encourage you to be free and set free and apply a high energy pursuit for happiness in your life. Tussey out.